Can Muslims eat McDonald's?
The regular food that we find in America or in Canada and so on, like McDonald's and stuff, that's not dhabiha, is haram. It is not permissible. This is not the meat of Ahlul Kitab. No scholar in the history of Islam said you can eat meita. Meita in Islamic terminology means that meat that has been slaughtered in an incorrect manner. They shoot the animal in the back of the head with a nail gun. I have been to slaughterhouses. The meat of the Ahlul Kitab is what is slaughtered in accordance to their rites, which currently we call kosher, because there's no dietary laws in the New Testament. So the Old Testament dietary laws of the Jews were used by the early Christians as well. That you could eat by saying Bismillah.
So I agree, and I'm going to play devil's advocate just a bit.
Please.
What about people who say that we are in a Christian country?
Being in a Christian country doesn't mean that everything they eat is halal. For example, even in a Muslim country, if you were living in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan and a Muslim who prays 5 times and kills the animal in that manner, shoots it in the head with a nail gun, even then it would be haram. Being in a Muslim country, Christian, Jewish, atheist, Hindu, is of no consequence. Secondly, we do not live in a Christian country. We live in a secular country. America, Canada, these are countries where they have separation of church and state. There is no law in the US or in Canada that slaughtermen have to be of any religion or have to follow any religious laws.
How about if we went to a Christian country like the Vatican, for example?
If we went to the Vatican and they lived by the dietary laws of the Bible, which I don't know if the Vatican does, but if they did, then we would be able to eat there.
I've seen some opinions from sheikhs online saying that if you go by this rule, then there may not even be a Christian country, which means the laws that Allah is explaining in the Quran is not applicable today.
Allah doesn't say in the Quran, eat from the Christian country. There's no verse like that. The food or the meat of the people of the book. So having a Christian country is not a condition.
It's a stretch, honestly.
It is a stretch, and a pretty pathetic one at that. We're not denying that Ahlul Kitab exists. Of course it does, but we cannot misuse it.
How about like if a corporation just became super Christian, like Chick-fil-A, for example?
Well, Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, and many of these corporations that are run by Christians do not get their meat from their own farms. They get their meat from regular farms that are run just like anywhere else.
But if they were to say that they are adhering to God's commands,
dietary laws, sure. I mean, if they come out and say that we are going to follow the biblical dietary laws, I have no problem eating that.
Gotcha.
But they don't.
What would be the consequences of eating haram meat? Like this whole time, let's say you thought that this was okay, what would you do?
Sure. If somebody didn't know, or they followed the fatwa of a sheikh that misrepresented some of these evidences, then there's no sin on them. The person makes a mistake, Allah is all forgiving. But if you know, you've watched this video and you know the evidences, then you cannot eat that which is haram, or it will affect your prayers, it will affect your fasting. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to stick to the Quran for your deen and for your dunya. Eat halal meat.